Muppet Month, Muppet Month. Hello, people. Welcome to the Fantasy Faire, the most magical podcast on earth. Joining me, I have Alexis Soto. How are you, Alexis?
Right now, I'm wondering, man, does that not hurt your vocal cords every time you do that?
Not really.
That last one sounded a bit strained. Are you okay?
I'm okay. I'm fine.
Okay.
And then we have Alexis Moreno. How are you doing, Alexis?
Good.
Good. I see you're all comfy and cozy.
I'm cold. My room is freezing.
You look fucking cold right now.
Why is your room cold? Do you not have a heater?
No. We don't turn on the heater.
Wow.
Have you never... This clearly shows how you're not Mexican, Kyle. Mexicans don't believe in heaters. Do you think I'm wearing a sweater right now because I have the heater turned on in my house? Yeah. Do you really think I'm wearing that because I have the heat turned on? No, we don't believe in using that. It costs too much. Have you never heard of this?
Wow. What is it like being rich?
We've grown up our entire lives never once having turned the heat on.
Well, my privilege is clearly showing. Holy shit.
No, if my parents aren't here, like, before, like, if they would leave to San Diego or something, I would turn that shit on. Like, I'm fucking cold.
But then when mom and pop are home, they're just like, no, fuck you.
Yeah, I'm freezing my ass off. I mean, it's fine though. I like being cold. I like being in blankets and stuff.
Yeah, we've grown accustomed to this after 25 years.
So you guys are on the way of Elsa, in which the cold never bothered you anyway, right? I had to tie it in with Disney somehow. So yeah. Welcome to Muppet Month, part 3. And we are covering the Muppets and Muppets Most Wanted.
Wait, I'm sorry. I just noticed Alexis fire in the background.
Another
why do you think I have that? It's had to help.
To have the illusion of warmth.
It's psychologically getting him warm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the depths of which we've been, reduced to.
Damn. Just like all over the LEDs. Put your hands over it.
Yep.
Take your socks off. Just put it over your entertainment system. Boom. It's
That's actually, this doesn't sound like a bad idea. Put them in the what's it called, in the dryer.
Or the oven. Some people use the oven to heat up the house. Mm-hmm. Or like a specific area. But anyway, where were we going? Oh, the Muppets. Yeah. I like to begin every Once Upon a Retrospect episode and ask where these people, these lovely, my lovely friends, where they got their start with the property. So here we are, and I'm gonna begin with Alexis Soto, asking him where he got his start with the Muppets, like the Muppets, the movie Muppets that came out in 2011. Right. The Muppets.
The year, as you just said, was 2011. And, at the time, I was not overly thrilled with most movies I had seen that year. Of course, you'd think to yourself, well, Alexis, there are a lot of movies that you love that come out that year, but I didn't see them in that year. Like Cap, the first Avenger, I didn't see that year. I think I saw like the following year or something, or other films that would have caught my attention. But then this movie came along, and to me, as someone who had never experienced anything Muppet related before, this was kind of like this creative ball of imagination that was the experience of watching this movie was electric. It's like lightning in a bottle almost, because it's just nothing. It's unlike anything, well, most things that I experienced before. Like it was, I remember that Muppet Wizard of Oz movie from a few years prior, but this is on the big screen, and therein lies a more, I think, heightened magic, as we all are aware that can create. And I, just, it was honestly is one of my fondest memories, and it does what you kind of dream movies do to you. It kind of gets you sucked in, and you're swept up all around it. And I actually had not seen it for so many years. Of course, I rewatched it, this and the other one that we're talking about, to talk about today. And I was really wondering how that was going to age with me, because this was a movie that came out almost 10 years ago, which is hard to believe, because I remember being in the theater and watching that film and just being so enraptured in it. And it honestly was every bit as magical as I remember it being. And yeah, like, that's where I'll start right now. But it definitely, I feel like at the time in the year, it was my favorite movie that came out that year. Again, there are a lot of other movies that have come out since, and that I've retroactively gone back and seen for 2011. But that was the movie that really got me, and that's kind of where the real love and appreciation for Muppets first started. And obviously, it made such a big impression because I did go back and watch Muppets Most Wanted a few years later in the cinema. So, hey, I don't think anybody else can say that here, because apparently some people went into a drug, sex, and rock and roll phase in 2014, and apparently Muppets wasn't cool enough for them. And I'm just, quoting from what other people said. So there's that.
Well,
it just sounds so ridiculous. What does that even mean? You were in high school? Wait, no, you weren't in high school. You were in college. Okay. I was there. That wasn't what I would describe that era, but okay.
Moreno.
I watched it yesterday.
You've been busy.
I've been busy.
Girl, like, when Nick Wilde said that it's a hustle, sweetheart, like you're living that example.
I finished school yesterday, so I did my final on Sunday, and that was the last thing I had to do. So I'm all good, at least with that. But what's it called? Yeah, I watched it yesterday. I thought it was really cool. I thought that I like the aspect that, I mean, obviously, like, there's humans or, like, actual people in, like, all the movies, but this is, like, the first time we get, like, an actual, like, character from beginning to end. And I like how they did that. Like, one of the songs when, like, they turn him into a Muppet and the Muppet into a human. Like, I like those elements that they added. And I like that, like, everything is just, like, normal. Like, that's just, like, how it is. I don't know. I thought it was really funny. I think all these movies are pretty funny. But yeah, I liked it a lot.
Cool story, bruh. You're absolutely right when you
another thing, I like knew a lot of the songs. I don't know how.
I mean, you worked at a Disney place.
Yeah,
it is
but
a Disney
the only
movie.
song I ever remember remember listening to was the Rainbow one. Other than that, there's nothing else. So I don't know.
Maybe subconsciously, maybe it might have seeped in somewhere, somehow, or maybe that some of the songs sound the same. I mean, Man or Muppet was like plastered all over, like, Disney Channel.
Oh, probably.
And
that would probably be it. We have to remember
likely.
Disney Channel there.
Real
quick, Kyle, I wanted to say that Muppet Month has apparently found a new convert. I have been informed by David that after listening to our review of the Muppet movie, he had gone and actually seen the Muppet movie for the first time, and he loved it.
Yeah, he saw Muppet Caper today.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I texted him that I wanted to go to Best Buy to get a phone case. I finally got a phone case. And he was like, no, I'm staying home and watching the Muppets.
Hey, I think that's a better time anyway.
That's a good idea. A grown-ass adult, hey, I'm staying home and fucking watching the Muppets.
Yeah, he said that he thought it was great. He liked the first one a little bit better, but it was pretty good. And I said, you are wrong.
Over the Muppet movie and Great Muppet Caper.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Again, I saw this movie in the theater. This is the only Muppet theater movie I saw in theaters. And I was like, it tapped a memory that like hadn't been unearthed in ages, kind of thing. Because it's been so long since I watched a Muppet anything. The only like thing that I had up until that point was was the Muppets Wizard of Oz, because my sister Erica, she played the shit out of that thing. Maybe next month. Next year when we do Muppet Month again in November.
Next month is next year.
Yeah. Maybe next year. Somewhere in November when we do Muppet Month again, we'll dive into Muppets Wizard of Oz and do all that shit. Because like that seems to be making its rounds in the
There
conversation.
are more Muppet movies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually, I think, at least 4 or 5 more that we haven't touched.
Yeah, like what's it called?
Christmas Carol, In Space, Treasure Planet,
Treasure Island,
Wizard of
not
Oz.
Treasure
Treasure
Planet.
Planet.
Treasure Island, Treasure Planet. I still haven't seen that movie.
Oh my god, why did you tell me this information?
Now,
It's interesting. They should make a live action remake of that movie.
I
Where's
know.
that?
that would be phenomenal. Have Denis Villeneuve.
But instead, we're getting Lilo and Stitch live action. Isn't that suicidal?
Which is, isn't that what happened in the first place? Lilo and Stitch overshadowed it, or something overshadowed it. Oh no.
Everything
Might have been
seems
Shrek.
to overshadow. Yeah,
Who fucking knows at this point? But yeah, I saw the Muppets in the movie theaters, and I was like, oh my god, it's the Muppets. Went to Spencer's after that, bought my famed Kermit hat that I wore during high school.
Oh, that too. David said that he was really moved by what you said with the song. And then when he listened to the song, he was like, oh my god, like, this is great.
No, I think that's a great example, Kyle, of, and I think, Alexis and I can definitely attest to this, because even we were a little bit taken aback by how passionate you were about Rainbow Connection. And you kind of really, like, sold us over on your whole explanation. I mean, it was kind of, I don't know, spiritual in a bit. And it definitely did ultimately push him to watch that movie, and also just, I think he told me that he immediately of that sequence of the Rainbow Connection of the original movie, he was just completely taken with it, and he really got everything you said in that episode.
Well, that song is like really personal to me, because like And especially in the movie, like Kermit is really personal about this movie, and he's like, that's his whole arc during the whole movie, like the whole guts to sing that song again, you know. And like I think that is like what's like perfect. It's like being comfortable with things coming back in that way, much like what this movie did, because the Muppets, they've been out of the zeitgeist. I mean, yeah, they had like specials on ABC here and there, but let's face it, like that wasn't like pop culture scene kind of thing. So that's what the Muppets movie did, and like I was like, hey dad, let's watch the Muppets, and he's like, okay. So but I like that this movie, it touches less on the previous movies before, but on the Muppet Show as a whole. And I like that they actually explored that versus the movies. Yeah, the other movies like Caper and whatever, but like this right here, like it displays its own little I guess it diverts into its own little canon as it were. Like the like you had the Muppet Show, and then it spiraled off into the Muppets and the Muppets Most Wanted. It kind of serves as a soft reboot, so to speak. I mean, but
yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of literally the movie.
Yeah, kind of rebooting the Muppets, and all that. Now that Disney finally decided, hey, let's do something about it.
And think about real quick about how played out that. Well, I have a lot of thoughts. Sorry.
Continue.
Go ahead. It's just like that. I remember back in 2015 when we were talking about, you know, all the latest movies coming up, and at that point, even we were fed up with the word reboot. And now it's gotten, you know, to such a, you know, a level of parody of like everything getting rebooted now. And then honestly, it's kind of ridiculous. All the projects that we've heard of and seen come out in the last 5 years. But I will say, the Muppets may have been one of the first to do it, and I still think one of the best to do it. Because I think a lot of the stuff here, I think to this, at this point in 2020, a lot of the things that the Muppets did in that 2011 movie is beyond cliched and overdone at this point and kind of tired. But this is one of the first to do it. And I still think it's one of the best to do it because it does play on a nostalgia, but they work that into the plot so well. Honestly,
it's just almost, like, I don't know what it is about them, but everything that they do, like, it just works because it's them. Yeah. And I don't understand.
I think it's because it has like this grounded sense of self-awareness that just supersedes all, unlike other, like, you know, comedy things out there. But the thing is that it's so earnest, and I think that because it's genuinely earnest with what it sets out to do, I think that's why everything just works no matter what. I mean, it's not afraid to be goofy, it's not afraid to be heartfelt, it's just not afraid to be who they are and unabashedly themselves, which I think is like the key essential Muppets thing. I mean, it's like what Jim Henson, you know, originally wanted. He wanted an earnest comedy show, with a little bit of a kick and a little bit of edge, but also underlining heart, you know. And that's where like the formula, you know, the Muppet formula really comes into play, and you have all this, you know, going with it, and it makes it the Muppets, you know. And like this song, like the like it just being grounded in what they have, like the beginning song, you know, I got everything that I need,
life's a happy song, yes,
right in front of me, you know. And like it's about like having what you have, and, you know, and appreciating that. And the Muppets take that in strides, you know, because it is, again, it's not afraid to be cheesy when it needs to be cheesy. You know, you have Fozzie fucking making fart shoes jokes, you know, in the corner, and, you know, and you get to have all that stuff, and it works for many reasons, but I I think that the reason why it does work is because it's so earnest with what it does. And I can't say that about anything else. I mean, if anybody else were to do something similar to this vein, it would come off as cynical. And I think that this, it has that heart and purity that I think is unmatched. And that's why I think that the Muppets, like the brand, has lasted this long, even though nobody's touched it for a long time, or like knows what to do with that. I think Muppets don't work. Okay. Oh shit. I think the Muppets don't work now. In this time, at least, is because everything is so dark and cynical right now that I don't think that Muppets can shine through. Unfortunately, in this time of age, if they were to make another Muppets movie now, I'd say wait like 2 more years, 3 years.
See, isn't that what the movie said? Isn't that what the movie was saying? And then they still ended up coming on top?
Yeah, for like, I don't know. Again, this is my cynical edge coming out. It only lasted for like 4 years, and then nobody's touched the Muppets ever since. And don't get me started with the Muppet Babies and Muppets now, because they still don't know what to do with the Muppets.
My babies.
I don't know. I could be a little bit cynical, but I think that that's where Disney's, really lacking. They're doing everything else with Star Wars. They're doing everything else with Marvel, especially after Investors Day.
Yeah, but that didn't. I think that I would say that the problem is less about the Muppets and more about Disney. I'm not exactly, and I think Alexis can agree, I'm not exactly thrilled with how they're handling Star Wars or Marvel either. I'm frankly kind of fed up with a lot of the things that we saw. I think you caught our pessimism and disenchantment, quite frankly, in the last podcast that we did. So
Coming
I
soon
think
to
it's
theaters.
more, yeah, literally. So it just comes back to Disney owning too many things, neglecting half of them, and then not really knowing at all what to do with most of them, because all they really are aiming for is middle of the road product placement, 4-quadrant generic at this point. And you thought you were the cynical one. I beg to differ on that one. That's kind of where I feel in that regard with the Muppets. And their latest attempts they had one good attempt from what I hear, the ABC show, but why they put it on ABC, I don't know how many times we have to have this conversation, and why not just bring it back? I mean, that was a concept that people liked. Do that, and they don't do that because...
I don't think the ratings are good. I think that's what...
Obviously not. It got canceled. Yeah, I'm not talking about the ratings. I mean, it was never going to be successthat's on ABC Television Network. Why would anybody watch a Muppets show on ABC Television Network? It's a streaming show. So that's why I'm saying it's like it was never going to be successful. And again, ratings are irrelevant when it comes to the quality, obviously.
God,
and the
just
following
imagine
the
like them doing that show and just like commentary on things that's like happening now.
Yeah,
like they're taking. Oh my God!
Like I think
I would be so down. That needs to happen.
Like imagine them making like a stereotypical Trumpian Muppet, and just having that as like one of the characters. Like you could obviously do stuff because like the Muppets were never afraid to be punchy, as we've seen in the previous ones. I think in the Disney regime, like especially with these two, I find that these movies, like in terms of like humor, are like really, really tame compared to the other ones. But like it still has its like like funny moments. And like Man or Muppet, when I first saw that sequence, I couldn't stop laughing because it's such a ridiculous concept, and like they're trying to play it seriously, but because they're playing it so seriously, it just like boosts up the humor. And I think it's funny. And not only that, but it's like a catchy song as well.
Yeah, I love that, like the comments that they make, like when they leave the town and everybody in the town is like, they're gone. They just fall down. Like every time they have like some like song breakout, they're all like, oh, I just did a whole show back there, or like something. I love when they do that.
Or like when Rolf the dog, he was like, wait, I didn't have my own introduction in the montage. He's like, yeah, but yours wasn't really interesting. He's like, oh, but I wanted one anyway. Okay. And then they go back to him freaking sleeping in his freaking porch. And then they'll be like, hey, do you want to join? Yeah. And then cut to that stuff. Also, I like the just the montage itself. They're like, we'll travel by montage. And I'm literally traveling by montage. Like it's so like that kind of humor is like classic Muppets, you know. Also,
I think my favorite one was when they're outside of Kermit's house and the bus is passing by. It's like and it's a choir bus.
And then Muppet Kermit freaking arrives. I think that's an electric.
You see a shadow, and it's so ugly. Like
it's so like freaking awkward and janky.
Oh my god, that cracked me up.
He's got a nice house though. Kermit's house.
I know. I was
dope.
like, oh, okay, all right.
Like you see Walter Thrombey in the other corner. Now let me get this straight, Piggy. You got a regurgitative nature about mistruthing. Go see Knives Out.
I swear to God, Kyle, one of these years you're gonna make me hate that movie.
One of these days, Alice.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I like the concept that that Walter is a freaking like fan. Like you've never like had one of those before, like a movie centered on a fan like that, you know. And much to
false. I could name one.
What, you mean a Muppet movie? Is that what you're saying?
Or just
or a movie in general? What are you saying?
like self-aware fan
Of the Muppets?
of anything.
Yeah, false.
You're saying that there's never been another movie made about a fan, a self-aware fan. Period. Is that where I'm just trying to figure out what it is you're saying, because I think Alexis was about to go off on you.
Yeah, Alexis, go off on me. What other movies?
The Country Bears.
Isn't there a movie called Fanboys?
Oh yeah.
Like literally, like
You know what? There's also a Stephen King story called, Misery. Okay, never mind. I thought I was saying something breakthrough-ian, but okay.
any movie J.J. Abrams did, only ironically because it wasn't good.
Well, but that thing isn't self-aware. It's just painful. That's as aware as it gets.
Yeah. This one, I feel, is the one that works the best.
Really? So, Kathy Bates, breaking freaking James Caan's legs. I'm kidding. But yeah, yeah.
Well, because that's why the movie is written by a fan. I don't know if you're aware of this, but like the person who pitched the idea for this movie is the person who also
Jason
stars in
Segel.
it and wrote it, which was Jason Segel, which is interesting because, I think before this or around this, like he was mostly known for How I Met Your Mother.
I literally was like, did he do this while doing How I Met Your Mother?
I assume so.
Yeah, I think it was. I could be wrong because I feel like this show just ended, but I feel like I'm wrong. And there was like a little bit of like things that just like reminded me of the show as well, like in the movie. But yeah, like I saw his name is like all over this movie, like
Literally,
producer, blah blah blah.
The
like,
character
all
of
these things.
Walter.
Yeah.
It's basically him.
Mm-hmm.
Basically in this movie, and there are a lot of wonderful little Easter eggs that that call back to movies that we just saw, like when they go into the Kermit the Frog's office and they look at the Rich and Famous contract from the first movie, or when once again they leave Sweetums behind on the road trip. I think almost at the exact same car spot. There's a whole bunch of wonderful call.
Well,
didn't you watch our first movie? We Drive.
Yeah,
literally the whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah. The bus is there as well in front of the theater. I mean, it's run down, but the bus is still there. From Caper. I mean, like just like little things like the outfit that he wears and Caper as well when he's getting ready for the date with Piggy, it's hanging up. I mean, you just see little stuff like that. I mean, it's like it's such a,
and I'm sure a lot of stuff from the Muppet Show itself.
Yeah, like ladies and gentlemen, Steve Martin, and having the host, and you having that clip right there, and just I like the fact that it also pays tribute a little bit to what Jim Henson did as well, to the whole Muppet name. Just having a little clip of Jim Henson's voice coming out of Kermit, this time around, I mean, Steve Whitmire does a great job as Kermit. Don't get me wrong, but like, it's nice to like have a little bit of Jim Henson's voice somewhere in there. Like in the Muppets Most Wanted, when Constantine is looking and watching old Kermit clips, and the Rainbow Connection scene comes on, like you feel that. Yeah. What do we think about all the cameos? Any cameos that sticks out with you?
It's a lot.
I know.
We know all of them.
I know.
Now. Like,
that's what I was gonna say. I was like, I finally know people.
I know. Like, there's so many to name. Like, I can tell you one obscure one that you two would know. Political strategist James Carville was one of the people who was on the phones. He was, I think, the campaign manager for Bill Clinton's 1992 campaign. It's really, I know it's a really weird one, but it's like I knew that one right off the bat.
But of course, the Muppets would know him.
I know, right?
He's like, "Hey, let me be in this."
I think Kermit called the White House in the movie, and he was asking for President Carter. Like, oh, he moved? Yeah. No, I mean, but there's a lot of great ones. I love Rashida Jones. I love her character in this. Jack Black is hilarious.
Oh my god!
In this one, out of nowhere, you have a whole bunch of ones like Whoopi Goldberg, Selena Gomez, Rico Rodriguez,
Dave Grohl.
So many. Dave, oh yeah, I always miss Dave Grohl. Where is he?
He is like the wannabe Electric Teeth band, and he plays Anna Mole.
Huh?
Remember the gruff version of the band, and you have like their drummer, and their drummer is a human.
Yeah.
You mean the Muppets?
The Muppets, yeah, that's the name.
The Muppets, where Fozzie. Okay, so that's Dave Grohl.
He's
okay,
the little
now
drummer for the band.
No, that I gotta say that cracked me up. Why are there such great deals on our hotel rooms? I love.
And I mean,
fucking
Amy
Fozzie.
Adams.
Amy.
Oh my. Oh my god. Oh my. Well, yeah, duh. Like this. I think this was relatively I don't know what she did between this and Enchanted, but that girl needs to do more musicals.
I know.
She can
fucking sing. Yeah.
Like,
Sarah Silverman. Sarah Silverman is in the movie.
Sarah Silverman, Alan Arkin.
I can name a lot. Hold on. Zach
Alan Arkin.
Galifianakis.
As Hobo Joe.
Hobo Joe.
Jim Parsons. Dude, that was like great casting.
It was.
Love it. Yeah, so Sarah Silverman. Actually, I don't know how to say it. Ken
Jeong.
Ken Jeong?
Yes, him.
Yeah.
Donald Glover.
Oh yeah, he briefly, when they first were in Rashida Jones' office to get on television, he walks in briefly.
Yeah.
Oh, Emily Blunt.
Reprising her role from Devil Wears Prada.
Emily Blunt was in this. That's right. Yeah, she was. I think she was was she Miss Piggy's secretary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this where her and John Krasinski met?
John Krasinski was on this as well. You're right.
But like,
Neil Patrick Harris too.
But like he's Jason Segel's friend, so like obviously he's gonna be in it. But like what's funny is like how we felt watching all these knowing all these cameos like Christian Shaw, Jack Black, and whatever. That's how like people felt back then. And when people saw Orson Welles, everybody was like, "Oh my god, that's he's the king of Hollywood," and all that. And like it felt nice. It felt nice to know who these people were and are, and it actually was like, oh, okay, this person, that person, and
Mickey Rooney. This is one of his final performances before he passed away. Mickey Rooney was in the Life's a Happy Song opening sequence. Don't forget about him. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many songs about rainbows. And apparently What's on the Other Side. What do we...
Oh, I gotta say, as a Nirvana fan, what did you make of their interpretation of Smells Like Teen Spirit? Another
Dave Grohl tie-in. Oh... Fun fact about Dave Grohl, guys.
Do we have to?
So Tenacious D. Do you guys know what Tenacious D is?
Yeah.
Obviously
Okay,
not.
Tenacious D. Okay, Moreno knows, but Alexis, I'll enlighten you. Tenacious D is Jack Black and Kyle Gass's band. They have a movie, Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny, but in which Dave...
I thought you were going to say School Rock for some reason.
This was his sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah. But
that's a tie into that as well.
That is.
Okay.
Right. But also, in that movie, Dave Grohl plays Satan, and so it's like hilarious. But like, where was I going with that? Oh, in Tenacious D, every time that they needed drum tracks recorded in all their albums, Dave Grohl is the one to do the drums. So you have Jack Black that's interconnected. Smells Like Teen Spirit, which, by the way, funny rendition. And then you have Dave Grohl himself, a Nirvana member in the movie. So I think that it's nice. Also, Dave Grohl shows up in an episode of The Muppets. So you have that, and also he does a drum off with the actual animal. So that's pretty fun. The covers, like Camilla the Chicken's version of "Fuck You"
Moves
by
like
CeeLo.
Jagger. Oh no! Oh, that's the next movie. Sorry,
Yeah.
This one is Forget You. CeeLo. Yeah.
It's completely stupid, but it's great. I remember the viral marketing for this movie. It was really nice. It was really cool. Okay, because like at the time they made, before to like promote the movie and all that stuff, they made a bunch of like viral videos, to purposely go viral. And one of them was when they got the Muppets cast and they did Bohemian Rhapsody, and they did a Bohemian Rhapsody cover of all the Muppets. wait, when it got into the dark part, like Mama just killed a man, it was just Beaker doing me 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 So the marketing campaign was phenomenal. Like, I remember how this was like marketed. They like green, like I remember seeing at Edward Cinemas in San Diego just a picture of frog feet of like, and that it was like, you know, coming soon to a swamp near you. Disney presents the Muppets, and I vastly remember the marketing of this movie, and like they really use like Skype calls between, remember Skype, everyone, not Zoom. But they used Skype calls and they called each other talking about the movie and all that stuff. But like this is the first time like they really utilized like social media, you know, and doing all that for the Muppets. And this is the first time that the Muppets went to the digital age, which I think is phenomenal and like a big part of Muppet history all in itself. So
no, they have a lot of interesting stuff here to also like update some of the material. Like I think one of the brilliant sequences, and of course a lot of the humor with the Muppets is incidental, especially when you get to the part where they're, you know, putting on the actual show. And especially when they put on Fozzie and you think to yourself, oh no, this poor guy's going to crash and burn. But then you pair him up with, and the gag is that Jack Black is being tortured by his horrible jokes. And then it just, like, that makes it funnier than it ever was. Mm-hmm. It's actually kind of brilliant how, and then I don't know if you noticed this, but like, you know, Gonzo's fucking, what was it called? What's that? Cannonball. Yeah. It doesn't actually go. He keeps swinging it until like, I think a post-credit sequence when he hits Tex Richmond.
Yeah.
I don't know if you, yeah. So a lot of funny gags in this movie that really make it all worth it. But I also really do appreciate just the genuine moments of emotion that you get off these puppets, like the sequence with Kermit in his house, pictures in my head, and you just feel like this loss, or moments like when Kermit and Fozzie are having kind of their first real catch-up moment outside his office, quote unquote, while there's a mugging going on, I guess, behind them, and then Kermit's like, "I'm sorry, you're like."
When she's like, we should give him a moment. And then he's like, yeah, but wait, I want to listen to what he has to say. Oh,
yeah, I mean, but it really made me feel for the situation because, like, you know, Fozzie was saying, like, it's okay, Kermit, it's not your fault. We had a good run. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just, and then, of course, the whole situation with Kermit and Piggy, and them obviously being away from each other for such a very long time. Yeah, like I think the bond that the Muppets have for each other really comes across. The love they have for each other really comes across, and that I think makes you root for them almost instantaneously. Mm-hmm. And I really have to say, I love the music that Brent McKenzie. He wrote the songs, all the original songs for this movie, as well as the songs for the next movie, Muppets Most Wanted. And the music was actually a big part of why I ended up loving this movie. You know, Life's a Happy Song, Pictures in My Head, Me Party, Man or a Muppet, which of course won the Oscar. But if there's like, I think the moment where the movie, I think, just completely sings is the rendition of Rainbow Connection. And as it was sold as like both this wonderful reunion finally, or reunification for Kermit, Miss Piggy, and then it's a little bit emotional when you see all the Muppets holding hands with each other and then approaching the stage, and then this is their official like comeback after being forgotten and lost. So
it's almost like a scene that harkens back to the final shot of the first movie, because like you haven't seen all of these Muppets all in like one frame for like a very long time, and then when you finally get that, it just like it floods like the nostalgia that you didn't know that you had. And like the fact that it's like all the Muppets singing like the most famous Muppet song ever. I think that's a nice little cherry on top with this movie, you know, and like and yeah. Like I get emotional like him, like, because he's constantly like trying to like find his old self, you know, back again, but then he remembers who he was back then, and he remembers, you know, the journey that he's been through, and he remembers that that someday he'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. And that story still stays true with the Muppets, which I think is like the most like stapling thing to come out of this movie, you know. And I think that is like a grand way to say that the Muppets are back, you know, like having that.
And I also just think the movie has some really important themes in it that I can definitely see how children would learn from this. This whole thing of, well, they lost in the end, but, you know, when Kermit gives that big speech, look, we have nothing to be ashamed about. We did our very best. Now we can leave here with our heads held up high. Honestly, it's a really... I love the movie, clearly. I don't know what else I can say, but it's interesting because I think this and Muppets Most Wanted, to me, are like some of the best live action movies that the Disney studio has made. Again, not including, I'm talking about Disney proper, Walt Disney Motion Pictures, not anything else. I think these two Muppet movies, quite frankly, are the best they've done in the last 2 decades. Ironically enough, James Bobbin, who also, to his credit, does a great job directing both these movies, ended up directing Alice Through the Looking Glass a few years later, which I know Alexis likes, but most people didn't even bother watching. And I think Peter Martinez himself told me like that was the only movie he ever fell asleep in a theater.
It wasn't good. It was a step up from the first one, but that's not saying much either.
Jeez.
It's on Disney Plus, right? If you want to watch it, right?
If you want to do it.
If you want to waste a few hours of your life, go ahead. As somebody who's also seen the movie, it's just, yeah.
Oh, you have? So I'm the only one that hasn't bothered watching that. Should I?
No.
I'm not gonna watch.
No.
I'm not gonna watch it.
No, no. Save your mental stability.
No. I'm watching Last Jedi tonight, so that's what I'll be watching instead.
Oh yeah, today's the anniversary of the movie. The worst Star Wars movie ever.
That's right. I'll be hate watching it. I'll be live tweeting my reactions to have Ruin Johnson destroyed everything.
Yeah, fuck that guy. How dare he make a good Star Wars movie with depth.
Can't wait to watch how John and Dave bring us the rematch of the century next year with Obi-Wan.
Not just John. Yeah, that cringe. That made me cringe so hard.
It's cringe. Honestly, it's fucking cringe.
John and Dave are bringing us Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka. Like,
thanks. I hate it.
like, geez. Okay.
Sorry. This always goes back to Star Wars one way or the other. I'm sorry.
That's the tradition here on Red Spotlight Entertainment. You know, it always leads. You know, every conversation leads back to Star Wars.
It's December. I mean, we've grown accustomed to it being Star Wars month anyway.
Yeah.
So like Anyway, I have to say, like, the movie I think is great. I love it, and it definitely really aged well. I watched it twice. Just because it was so much fun. I love it. And I love these movies and I love these characters. And I really hope that in the future,
Yeah, I hope we get
Disney,
more.
I would just say, Jason Segel, hey, you're not doing much right now. You want to come back and like direct, the next couple
I wonder
Muppet
why he
movies?
didn't do the other one. Or
know.
Did he work on it like at all?
I don't think Segel came back for Muppets Most Wanted. James Bobbin, the director, co-wrote the script for Muppets Most Wanted and directed Muppets Most Wanted, but I don't think Segel worked on that movie. Although, to be fair, I think they did fine without him in that instance.
Like, if Segel came back and like worked with some of his buddies and just made another rendition of the Muppet Show and show ran it, I think that show would be a hell of a success.
I think so too.
Okay, let's go on to Muppets Most Wanted, shall we? I asked the same question for this movie that I do with all the movies. So, where did you get your start?
I saw it in a theater. Because I love the Muppet movies so much. And I watched this movie, and I have to admit that I was a little let down by it initially, although still really liking the movie, which is saying a lot. Like, rarely am I disappointed by a movie and yet still end up liking it quite a bit. That was my initial reaction to it. And so for the longest time, I had this view like it was like, it definitely was missing a little bit of the heart or the writing, shall we say, of Jason Segel. That was my initial reaction to it. I still stand by that somewhat, but I have to say, years later, I was cackling hard watching Muppets Most Wanted. I don't know. I found it so fucking entertaining, as I've obviously found most of these Muppet movies. But to me, like, Muppets Most Wanted, I think, did kind of what Great Caper did, which was kind of let it rip, right? Like, they established in the opening sequence, yeah, we're doing a sequel. It may not be better than the first one, but fuck it, we're gonna do what we're gonna do. And the numbers really are absurd, but that's kind of where the Muppets' sweet spot are, from like I'm Number One to The Big House. And I genuinely do think the focus went firmly back on like Kermit and the Muppets and their appreciation of him in the whole sequence. So I don't know. Upon further reflection, I think far more of this movie than I originally did the first time I saw it. But I definitely think it felt kind of like a finale of sorts.
Yeah.
For now, anyway. But yeah, it's fun. I love the songs, love the characters. Watch it. We need more Muppet content.
Moreno?
I, again, saw it yesterday. But this one, I think, is the first one that I remember, like, because I don't remember anything from the Muppets or anything, but the trailers for this movie is like the first time I recall ever being like, oh, yeah, the Muppets.
They're a thing.
I think by this time you were, I think, much more hyper aware. I think as Kyle and I were at the time, because don't forget, 2014 was a massive year for Disney movies. I think, like, you had Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy come out that year, and people were getting ramped up for Star Wars. Like, that was the year where like things were beginning to like. At least I remember that year very vividly.
Where Disney's pockets were becoming quite inflated, shall we say?
And I remember watching the trailer for the first time. I don't remember what movie we were watching, but I was so confused because it's like these Muppets and they're in like a jail cell. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is this? And it might have been for like a Marvel or Star Wars movie. I don't fucking remember. But I was just so confused. And then they say Muppets and I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? But yeah, I watched it. It was great.
Like, something to not
honestly
compute.
That opening sequence, we're doing a sequel,
I know,
is one of my favorite songs ever in a movie. And I think, to me, like, I have it on my playlist of like cinema. That starts off the section where I bring in songs from movies, like because it is about the movies, and it's just so wonderfully written. You have references while we wait for the studio considers as a viable franchise while they make for Tom Hanks to make Toy Story 4. It's so I love I love
like
that,
very like
stuff.
hey, it's very much in the vein of hey, a movie, you know.
Yeah.
But you have that. And like, and also like, I love the fact that it picks up right where the last movie left off.
I know. When I watched it, I was
yeah.
like, "Did we change the movie?" I legit asked David. I was like, "We changed it, right?"
My history is actually quite shorter than yours, Moreno. I watched the movie for the first time today.
Wow. You're the reasons why we didn't get a third Muppet movie. I'll just say that.
I was thoroughly entertained with it. And
You really have never seen that until today? That can't be true. I think you told me you saw that once a few years back.
no, I saw like the majority of it, but like never in its entirety. Like I got to the point where they were stealing the locket.
Okay.
They were stealing the locket.
Okay.
And then that was the part where you know, because I, like, the movie would constantly be in my face, but I would never be able to complete it, like, because, like, I had to go somewhere, I had to do something, so I was never able to fully sit down.
What, like Schitt's Creek? How you basically seen all of it, but not really none of it?
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those weird things.
Because his mom was watching it on Netflix, and like he would walk in every now and then, but he didn't really like sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
Watch Schitt's Creek; it's great.
That's how it was with what is that show called? Walter White.
Breaking Bad.
Oh, Breaking Bad! Yeah.
So yeah, I was never able to finish the movie or see it in its entirety or sit down and actually watch it. Like I knew, you know, I'm number one, you're number two. I know that song. I knew we're doing a sequel, you know, by popular demand. I knew that one. But like it never like came into my full circle until thanks to Muppet Month this month. So I'm right in the same boat with you, Moreno. This is the movie that I got away until quite recently. And I was thoroughly enjoyed with this. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. This was a riot to watch. It was nice. It kind of rehashed some things from Caper, because like there's a bad guy and he wants to steal something, and you know, and it goes through that, you know, classic Muppets cliche, but this really but it cements itself as like a worthy predecessor of the previous movies, because it does do stuff like it goes freaking Star Trek and gives us an evil Kermit. Which, like, what the fuck? Like, just that like I could picture like whoever wrote like the actual story, who actually came up with the story of the movie, and like, hey, evil Kermit. And I could immediately see everybody in the boardroom automatically sold, because that is a brilliant idea, brilliant concept. We never had something like that before. And it's actually nice. It's actually nice. It's the villain, Constantine, I think steals the show. Like, he's the most funniest part of this movie. Just his bombasticness of like, yeah, let me do a, like the way he would talk is freaking hilarious. I love it. And honestly, like this is a nice time. It's a nice time. You want to be entertained for a few hours, watch this movie. Yeah. Do you have what?
No, there's a lot of stuff here. Like I think it's really hard to fill in obviously Jason Segel and Amy Adams' shoes, but I really was thrilled with Ricky Gervais, Tina Fey, and Ty Burrell. What I found really hilarious was so yeah, you're right. Ricky Gervais and Constantine were funny, but what I thought was also funny was Sam the Eagle and Ty Burrell's team up. The Interpol and the CIA thing, especially the interrogation song, which was these Muppets are too stupid to commit the crime. And then they fucking dismiss them and move on, honestly. But it's like, I don't recall anyone ever like outwardly referring to the Muppets as stupid in their own movie once.
Until they found the freaking rubber chicken and they were like, so the bear was the lemur the entire time. Real genius. Yeah. And then also like them having like a metaphorical freaking what's it called? I feel like they left me. Hold on. One person left. And Moreno's back. Okay. Because the connection went wonky for a little bit, but we're back, everyone. So, I like how Sam and Ty Burrell's character, they had like a metaphorical size comparisons of sorts with their badges. That was funny.
You mean a dick measuring contest?
Yes.
Just say it.
I'm trying to keep it PG, everyone. When do I ever...
That ship sailed years ago. What are you talking about?
You had a sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing.
True. All right. Fine. It's a dick measuring contest. All right. Who's counting? That just like the freaking simple green paint to put over an obvious mole and nobody could freaking see through that shit. I love it. That the whole introduction to like when Kermit finally meets Constantine, just like that. I mean, it's been memed to death, but just him saying "oh boo," and that happening. The prison parts I find a little bit lackluster. But there are definitely entertaining moments. I mean, my homeboy Jermaine Clement isn't the prison.
I know.
Ray Liotta. I love that Danny Trejo is singing a chorus line in the movie. Oh God, I need this job. Just that fact that we have that in the movie makes it worth watching. Any memorable moments for you guys?
It's always fun to watch Constantine like continuously fool the Muppets, and obviously the main story here that the Muppets are they're a little tired of like being told by Kermit, and it's going through the whole thing where by the end they end up appreciating him more so because you realize that with Kermit's absence as an act, they completely fall apart. And it's crazy how, when they're going through their tour and you see all of the different, like, you see what a disaster they kind of become. And then only later is it revealed that they were paid off to be there and to also like give them a standing ovation on those shows. But especially with Miss Piggy, like, she automatically I think she's the only one aside from Walter that immediately suspects something is off. Like when Kermit or Constantine opens up the Muppet Show and he completely just freezes and then falls to the stage. But at the same time, it's like what's also throwing her off, but of course, she's being charmed by it a little bit, is that Constantine acting as Kermit schmoozes her and actually like acts as if he cares, as if Kermit cares, or shows more appreciation, I guess, than Kermit does to Miss Piggy. I love the sequence. What was the song called? I'll give you anything you want.
Everything you want. Everything you need.
Yeah, like it's fucking hilarious.
Like rubbing. I love when he like rubbed freaking Vaseline all over the camera lens.
Yeah,
to make it look hazy.
Yeah. and it crystallizes all the way up until one of my favorite moments of the movie, which was Something So Right, that sequence where Miss Piggy, and it's actually kind of an emotional song. It's like, how can something so right feel so wrong? And like she knows deep down she's marrying the wrong frog. And then, of course, you have Celine Dion in there, and all the and all the Muppets, of course, because Constantine told them that, you know, this is the end of the road for them. So, no, I think they're definitely able to pull out.
Lady Gaga comes out.
Yeah, Tony and Lady Gaga, and like there were some of the cameos earlier in the movie.
But like them being in it is a joke in itself, because it's like line of celebrity cameos, you know.
Basically, yeah.
Oh, by the way, in the Celine Dion bit, one of my favorite shots, like cinematic shots from the Muppets in general, comes from that movie. From that scene, and it's the black and white shot of them facing each other. Like, I don't know, it's hilarious, but also at the same time beautiful, that because again, it's the Muppets taking themselves seriously, but because it's being genuinely serious, it's funny. It just them looking at each other all dramatically, it makes it more compellingly funny. But also it's beautiful, and also you got Celine Dion in there, so it's the pièce de résistance. But I like, yeah, you clearly see Miss Piggy going through that little bit. I was like, she better kick Constantine's ass. And lo and behold, at the very last minute she does, which is nice. Very nice. The moment that I was like, okay, I get their, like, I never got their relationship before. Because like Piggy and Kermit, like, I thought it was funny. Okay. I thought it was charming because it's like, it's such a weird dynamic. But here I'm like, in terms of like them, you know, personally as characters, it made sense, because like she likes how he's very nervous about his feelings around her, and I like that character beat in this movie, because like when he was like when she was trying to, during the wedding scene, there was a moment where she was like, which one is the real Kermit? And then he was like very like pussyfooting around the idea of like, you know, oh, but you know, and then she's like, you're the real Kermit, and you know, I was like, okay, I finally get it. Also, I was kind of hoping that their babies would have been Muppet babies. In the previous sequence, but no, I was caught off guard and snorted out my coffee when I saw that it was a pink frog and a green pig, and I was just blown away by that sight. It was hilarious. Just see, I was like, what the fuck is literally, you know, coffee coming down my nose.
Really?
Yeah, but
did it that hurt?
I didn't care. I was laughing so much. But yeah, it's got a lot of charm to it. Also, I like that there was a sign that said Gulag right in the middle of the freaking desert, all stupid. Yeah. Also, a nice little nod to Buster Keaton as well, because of the there's a moment where they do the mirror gag with Kermit and Constantine, and that's like a classic comedy bit from back then. Yeah. Anything else, Moreno? You've been quiet about your favorite moments. Do you have any favorite moments?
Well, you just talked about them all.
Yeah, basically. I think she was silently nodding in agreement with a lot of the stuff that we were talking about. For those who can't see her face.
Yeah.
Also, I'm sure
think
she's
my favorite
probably
is
freezing.
the opening, though. I don't know why. I really love the way that they do openings for these movies.
Yeah.
For all of them.
That was big.
Yeah, and that's actually that's a fairly common criticism of the movie. That I totally understand, especially with this one. It's like, man, the opening was so great, but all the stuff afterward is not as great. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I can understand that. But I don't know. I completely love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Same. I like the movie. We should do a rankings episode. We rank the Muppet movies when we finally watch them all.
I mean, I could just tell you now.
Okay.
So far.
All right. Which ones?
I like the first two the most.
First two. Okay.
Yeah. I think Caper is my favorite one, though.
Alexis.
I think. Oh God. Get back to me. Give me a minute.
After watching these movies, like I'm with Moreno on like the first two, but like I've gained such a huge appreciation for Caper. Mm-hmm. But like the Muppet movie has like one of my favorite moments in cinema ever. I don't know. It's hard to juggle between those.
Get back to you two.
Yeah. So yeah, get back to me as well.
Well, I guess I'll take a different approach. I think I'll go from bottom to top. So of the 5 that we saw, Muppets Take Manhattan. Oh God, this is gonna sound bad. The Muppet movie. Yeah. The Great Muppet Caper, Muppets Most Wanted, and the Muppets. Sorry, those two were my first two.
Yeah.
I can't really
but, like all of them are so good. Like,
yeah,
it's not that like they're the last one is bad. It's just one is better than the other in the best way possible.
I like all of them.
Yeah.
I like these characters, and I'm sure I'll like all the other ones that we haven't gotten to yet. I guess this time next year.
Also, I like the fact that it ends with like a big throwback number with
together
again with harkening back to Take Manhattan, which is also nice. I like how they throw back some of these numbers. I'm out. I'm out of Muppet talk. How about you guys?
And
it appears that way.
Year.
So yeah. Did you like what you heard here? And if you did, go check us out everywhere you listen to podcasts, whether it be Castbox.fm, Spotify, Apple, you name it. We're gonna be there. I guess the next 2 things that we have, quote unquote, scheduled. What?
I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't be so sure. I don't know. Continue.
Are you okay?
A Mandalorian review. What were we gonna say? Go on. What did you say? You clearly want to say something. Is the Mandalorian review like up in the air?
I don't know. Is it? That's what I was told.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
I don't really want to do that twice.
Twice?
Yeah.
See, this is why we should have this discussion off air, because there seems to be a thing.
Because I thought it was a for sure thing. I thought it was a for sure thing that we're going to review The Mandalorian at the very end.
There's just a little bit of technicalities that I wanted to talk to you beforehand.
Okay. All right.
Which is a conversation for off air. So that what we can confirm is Soul, Disney
Soul,
Plus,
okay.
Christmas Day. We're going to bring that one, and I cannot wait for that movie.
All right. So without further ado, everyone, I'm Kyle Lira. With me is Alexis Moreno and Alexis Soto. And as always, stay magical, everyone!